And I'm recording. Good. Hey guys, Tarkhan here, back with another video. I'm sorry about all this kind of weird blowout stuff going on over here. There's a lot of sunshine flooding into that window. There's a pretty big window, kind of terrace balcony kind of window thing going on behind me there. And unfortunately, I'm not able to really do much about that right now. If I close that other curtain, it's going to look like I'm sitting in a basement. I don't think you'd like watching that anyway. So excuse me if on occasion it's going to look like I have a halo or there's an army of angels flooding into the room behind me. Maybe there is an army of angels flooding into the room behind me. But anyway, I'm here with a viewer comment, actually, which I think is a good one. This woman is asking me a lot of interesting questions. This one is from about a day ago, and it's from Miss 𝗙ص𝗿 I want to say. I'm probably totally mispronouncing that, and I apologize. You can let me know in the comments if I slaughter that completely. Is it 𝗙ص𝗿? Anyway, I think you know who you are, so that's good. That's the important part anyway. So she wants to know, well, I am here to ask one thing, as all of the law of attraction coaches explain to us the same things. It's not about another person, it's about us. Have faith in our desire. Visualize with all your emotion and feeling of living in the end. Imagine and you will have it. Shift your focus. So far it sounds good. And so on, she says. But there is no coach out there that explains how we can release our fear, resistance, and build faith and trust in our desire. Because when it comes to manifesting a person back we already have had issues with in the past, then how can we remain focused on a positive outcome? It really doesn't make sense because, after all, we are humans. Well, of course, I understand that. What you're saying is human beings are going to hang on to past hurts and disappointments and heartbreaks, and especially if you're trying to manifest an ex back, if it's somebody you already had a relationship with or you dated for a while and something happened and there was a fight or they cheated on you or vice versa. Let's just say there's a lot of baggage going on there and now you want to be back with that person. How do you focus on a positive outcome if you're still hanging on to past hurts, right? It's a good question. I want to disagree with you about something, though, that I think you're saying here that I think is a fundamental misunderstanding, because when you say it doesn't make sense, because after all, we're all humans, I think the tendency for us to think that it's inherent to human beings, it's inherent to us or natural for us to always hang on to past hurts and negativity and to always focus on what went wrong in the past. I don't think that is inherently human, and I want to start off by saying that because I think that is a misunderstanding and a misconception about who we are and how we operate. I don't think it's inherently natural for human beings to be negative. I don't think it's inherently natural for human beings to focus only on past hurts and disappointments and that kind of thing. But I think what does happen is that we have all practiced doing that to such a degree that it seems like it's natural, it seems like it's inherent for us to do that as human beings. But I think quite the opposite is true. And I think that's evidenced by the fact that when we do focus on negative past nonsense, right, that we feel terrible. And the fact that we feel terrible, because I've said this before as well, but I'll keep reiterating this stuff, is that our inner being is guiding us, is communicating with us directly through our emotions. Your emotions are nothing more than a guidance system, right? So if you're having a thought, let's say you're thinking about your ex and some argument you had in the past or how they hurt you or disappointed you or broke your heart, what's happening is you're going to feel awful, right? And the reason you're feeling awful is because fundamentally your inner being is telling you that it does not agree with your assessment of the situation. It's saying that it's not natural for you to focus on negative past crap, because that's going to, of course, not going to help you in your future outcome and what you want to manifest, right? So the fact that you feel terrible is your inner being, is that larger part of you, all right? The part of you that is still focused in the non-physical, that is still in the spirit, firmly in the spiritual world, if you want to call it that, all right? What's going on there is it's telling you that when you focus only on negative things, you're going against your fundamental nature. So it is not within our fundamental nature to be negatively focused or to be pessimistic or to hang on to past hurts, okay? I want to say that right off the bat because I think immediately it's important for you to understand that when you are doing that, it's not a natural thing for you to do. What's happened probably, though, is more likely what's happened is that you've practiced yourself into a pattern and a habit of doing that. And we have all done that. And it's not really our fault. It really isn't anybody's fault. Who knows when it began? I think it's like a chicken and the egg thing, right? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? It's a kind of a question that we could maybe answer or try to answer, but why? Why waste the energy on that? Suffice it to say, most of us grow up carrying the past emotional upsets and relationship ideas and theories and habits of thinking that we adopted from our parents by watching them, by watching their relationships, right? And our mothers and fathers' relationship with each other, if they were even together, and they probably learned their relationship habits and their thinking and ideas about relationships from their parents, who learned it from theirs, who learned it from theirs, and who knows how far back this stuff goes. So be aware that most of the time, if you find yourself having a certain idea about a relationship or a certain habit of being in a relationship, it probably isn't even yours to begin with, okay? It's not inherent for you to be negative. It's not inherent for any of us to be negative. That's not what we come here for. We don't come here to correct things or to fix things. We come here to explore our innate ability to create. In a sense, we are always creators. We have always been creators. When we come into this physical form, we deliberately forget so that we can have the thrill and the joy of rediscovering what we are capable of doing, what we're naturally and innately capable of doing. Okay, so I want you to throw that whole idea out the window that this, of course, we're humans, so we're going to focus negatively on things. I think it's nonsense, okay? And I'm not judging you for saying that, but I'm saying that I have thought that way as well in the past, and I think a lot of people out there are thinking that way. So I think it's important to understand right off the bat that that is your natural state of being. Your natural default state of being is one of positivity, compassion, unconditional love, all right? And love for others as well, but it has to start with love for yourself. So a lot of what you said, what you listed that a lot of coaches say, all of that stuff is important, okay? But I'm going to tell you something else about that in a minute here. So I request you to make a video on how we can change our innermost beliefs about the relationship we are manifesting with a specific person, as creation requires, imagination plus feeling plus faith. Now I'm going to depart with what you're saying there once again. First of all, imagination. Imagination is really clarity, okay? It's really a matter of having vision. And so what's important with imagination, what that really means is you don't have to necessarily sit around and visualize. It's not necessary for manifesting, okay? It can help you to manifest. It can help you to center yourself. Really the idea of things, I think when you say imagination, you're saying visualizing. And I think techniques like visualizing and repeating affirmations and meditating and all that kind of stuff and scripting is really designed to get you to a place where you're matching with your desire, where you're clear about what you want. So first and foremost, what's important here is clarity, okay? And I think that's where techniques like visualizing and imagining come in. You have to be clear about your vision, about what you want. And when you focus on that, exclusively, all the past nonsense goes out the window. All the past hurts and disappointments don't enter your mind anymore, because now you're busying your mind with coming up with a vision for how you want things to be now, okay? And as you're doing that, here's the plus feeling part that comes in, okay? You have to couple the imagination and the deciding what you want and the vision with the feeling of it. So that comes in different areas, though, at different stages of this process, because when you're first deciding what you want, okay, You have to feel excited about those things. If you don't feel excited about it, probably you don't want it to begin with. It's not really something that you want. Oftentimes, we think we should want something because that's what society teaches us we should want. That's what our family expects of us. That's what our friends expect of us. Most of us have a vision for ourselves that isn't really our vision anyway, okay? I want to get married and have kids. Well, do you really? Some people say that stuff and they don't really mean it, but they think that that's what they need to have to be happy because they've been taught that their whole lives. You have to be honest about what you really want, and that's where clarity comes in, okay? So here's the thing about this. All right, because the next thing you ask me is how can we rebuild that strong faith in our desire without any doubt it will surely manifest? And instead of avoiding the contrast, how can we uproot those contrasts? Now, I want to say something about that too. You don't want to uproot contrast and you don't want to avoid contrast. Okay, I know a lot of you going, gasp, what did he say? Let me clarify, okay? I think a big misunderstanding and misconception also, especially with beginning students of law of attraction and manifesting, is that they feel very strongly that they must be positive 100% of the time, all day, and all their waking hours and minutes and seconds. You know what? If you're starting off that way, first of all, that's a recipe for failure, okay? Well, failure. It's a recipe for disappointment and frustration. It's a recipe for slowing things down. So if you want to avoid slowing things down, the first thing you got to understand is you don't need to be positive and happy and, you know, unicorns are shooting out of your butt or whatever it is and doing cartwheels in the park and bouncing off the walls all the time. That is also not a natural way of being. I mean, when you see somebody doing that on the street, what do you think, right? You kind of feel like you want to call the paddy wagon and have them picked up. But, or maybe they're missing their medication that day. A natural state for us to be is to be pretty neutral about things, actually, is to kind of go through life kind of happy-go-lucky and say, that looks interesting, that looks interesting, that looks interesting. I might try a little bit of that. And you go, that was a little salty. Maybe not. Well, what about this stuff? That's a little too sweet. I'll try this. Ooh, that's perfect. I like that. I'll have some more of that. Life is like a buffet, you know? It's like an all-you-can-eat kind of thing. It's like a smorgasbord. You have a bunch of different things in front of you that you're going to try out, okay? With contrast, what we call contrast, a lot of people think that we have to avoid that stuff. But here's the thing. And I talked about having the clarity of vision. You have to be really clear about what it is you want. But the only way you can do that is if you experience the contrast first, all right? Do you see what I'm saying? There's no compass without contrast. There's no roadmap without contrast, without challenges, without things sometimes seemingly going off the charts or going off-roading or going wrong. As we always think this stuff means that something went wrong. We're making a mistake. We screwed up, okay? I want you to start avoiding that thinking. I want you to start thinking in terms of thank you for the contrast and thank you for the challenges, because without those, I wouldn't know A, what exactly it is I want, and B, I wouldn't know exactly where I was in relationship to where I want to be. Without that contrast, that's a built-in natural compass for you, a natural roadmap for you to understand where you are in the middle of this maelstrom of stuff and this buffet that you find yourself in this lifetime, okay? So I want you to stop thinking that you have to avoid contrast or that you have to uproot the contrast. That's number one, and that's very important, okay? So in terms of what you're saying is that you seem to have a firm belief that you cannot have what you want in terms of getting your ex back unless you are completely free of contrast and completely free of any negative feelings or emotions about the past and what happened in the past. And I'm here to tell you that you don't need any of that 100% of the time. Now, you want to work your way up the scale, okay? Up the emotional scale. And so here's something important. Abraham Hicks says this a lot, okay? And I want to do another video about this. I believe I did one in the very beginning of this channel, and I can't quite remember. I have to go back there, but I might do another one on this because it's very important to understand that it's a ladder. It's like a ladder, and just like you don't want to jump from the bottom of the ladder to the top of a ladder. That would be ridiculous. If you could do that, why would you even need a ladder to begin with? But, you know, let's say you want to get up there to the top, you're going to take it one rung at a time, right? You're going to climb a ladder. That's what you're doing. So if you're feeling really hopeless and disappointed and depressed about something. You don't want to start reaching for joy and faith and being sure about the outcome and all that kind of stuff, okay? That's just way too far of a leap for you to take. You want to take baby steps. You want to go up the ladder rung by rung. So you reach for the next most empowering feeling, emotion that you can reach for. From depression and hopelessness, what would be like the next empowering better feeling emotion that you can think of? That would be, say, even anger, okay? So sometimes if you feel angry about what happened in the past with your relationship with your ex or your specific person, that's actually a better feeling to reach for if you're coming from a place of feeling depressed and sad and lonely and hopeless about it and dejected and rejected and all that, right? That's almost like at the very bottom of the ladder. That's like the bottom rung where you just feel the most disempowered, the most crappy that you can possibly feel about the situation. You want to reach for anything that gives you a bit of relief. And sometimes reaching for angry thoughts can give that to you, okay? That's very important to understand, that if you're coming from a very dejected place and a hopeless place, reaching for an angry place can feel better. And the fact that it feels better is an indication to you from your inner being that you are moving now bit by bit, step by step, rung by rung, in the direction of where you want to be, okay? Now here's the trick though. You don't want to linger on the anger, okay? You don't want to pick the anger and then be angry for a week or a month or a year. You don't want to get stuck on that rung. You're going to have to keep climbing up to the next rung, and then you keep climbing up to the next rung. Eventually from anger, you're going to get to like impatience and boredom, okay? Now you're reaching the middle of the ladder, and the middle of the ladder is neutrality, when you feel completely neutral about the situation, when you're neither angry about it, nor sad about it, nor happy about it, okay? Now from there, from that neutral point, it's almost like being at the reset stage or something, right? From there, you reach for the next higher emotion. Now you're starting to get up towards the more positive area of the ladder. You're starting to get close to the top there, okay? So that analogy of the ladder and reaching for the next better feeling thought can help you with this, because you don't really need to constantly be happy or completely put aside all the hurt and all the pain and all the disappointment from the past, from the relationship. You don't really need to do that. What you want to do is give yourself the opportunity to feel those feelings, and then feel them as much as you need to, and then when you're done with them, then you get rid of them, and then you reach for the next one, okay? And also, you know, like I said, anger, if you feel like being angry, be angry. That's an indication that if being angry at him or her, whoever it is, or the situation, makes you feel better than you did 5 minutes ago or yesterday when you were crying into your pillow or whatever it is, then let that anger be there for a little bit, okay? Just for as long as you need it to serve you, to serve your purpose, because it can serve you. All right? So the point in this is you don't really need to worry so much about being positive all the time about it, uprooting the contrast or avoiding the contrast, okay? And like I said also, contrast is exactly what teaches you what you want. The most important thing about this formula that you said to me is feeling and imagination. Okay, because imagination is what you need to understand where you really want to be, what you really want. And clarity is the thing that's going to really get you there. I think in manifesting clarity, absolute clarity about what exactly it is you want. Now, what I mean by this too is not to be so general about it. You're going to start off general. You might say things like, well, I want a relationship. Okay, well, what kind of relationship do you want? Do you want to be married? Do you want to live with the person? Do you want to just date somebody a couple times a week? And then if you are married to them, if you are living with them, what kind of house are you living in? Are you living in an apartment? What kind of jobs are you guys doing? What does your everyday relationship look like? What do you like to do together? Do you like to travel? Do you like to try new restaurants together? Do you like to go out clubbing on weekends? Do you like to just take long walks on the beach? People never think about those things. It's amazing how many times people will say, I want this, I want $1 million. What are you going to do with the money? They have no idea. They just think they need $1 million. They want $1 million, because what it is and what it comes down down to, and I'll always say this, everything that you want it only for one reason. You want it because you want to feel a certain way. You think by having that thing, you're going to have permission to feel the way you want to feel. But if you don't know what that is, how you want to feel, then you'll never understand what kind of things and situations and circumstances in life are going to represent and fulfill that feeling for you. You see what I'm saying? And also, without the understanding of how you really want to feel, which is what you're really after, what you really want, you won't know how to reach for that feeling in your life, because that's where it begins. You don't change the outer circumstances. You don't change the physical mirror to fit how you want things to be. You have to first get to that place. You have to understand, I want a relationship because I want to feel loved, or I want a relationship because I want to feel alive, because I like that adventurous part of a relationship. I want a relationship because I want to feel adored. Well, I want a relationship because I want to feel secure. Well, that's what you start with. Okay, that's why you have to understand what it is you want. Now, you won't know that you want security until you go through a situation in your life where you suddenly don't have any feeling of security. That's contrast, and the contrast is telling you that that's what you want. But without that contrast, you'll never know. You'll never know where you want to go. You know, you turn on your GPS system in your car, you got to type in a destination. How will you know where to go? How will it know where to take you if you don't know where you want to go, right? Now, you can just flail around and kind of, I'll just drive and see what happens, and a lot of people do that, and you can live life like that. That could be an adventurous kind of thing that you're after. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you say something specific like, I want to have a relationship with my ex, you need to first get through the contrast to understand what is that going to look like now. So what you know right off the bat from your situation is that all the shit that happened in the past with the past relationship that you had with this person is informing you about what you want to avoid in the next one. Because that's what's going to happen. When you manifest them back, it's going to be a new relationship. It's not going to be the old relationship, okay? So you have to divorce yourself from that, first of all, the old relationship in your mind. You're not going to get that old relationship back. You're going to build a whole new relationship with them. But that's good news, because the old relationship didn't work. Because if it worked, you'd still be together, okay? But all the stuff that you went through that hurt you in that past relationship with them was important to inform you all the things that you now don't want, okay? Because you don't know that you want security until you experience the opposite of security. You don't know that you want to feel loved and adored until you experience the opposite of feeling loved and adored, okay? You don't know that what you want to feel is adventure and aliveness until you experience boredom and stagnation, okay? So those things are important. So the first thing is just say thank you for that. Understand that it was there to serve a purpose, and then now it's served its purpose. It served its purpose of giving you clarity about what you want next. So now, how do you avoid thinking about the past? Well, now you understand that it's just a tool, okay? And you don't have to keep hammering a nail into the wall. At some point, the nail is in the wall. You can put the hammer down now, okay? What are you going to hang on the nail? What's the picture you're going to hang on that nail now? You don't need the hammer anymore, okay? Decide the picture you're going to hang up there. So that's how you avoid thinking about the past. Now you construct your future relationship with this person, and you make that your project. And if you make that your project and you add excitement and feeling into it, because that's what it's going to be. When you sit down and make your list about how that relationship is going to work, if you write it down, or even if you just make the list in your imagination, in your mind, you're going to attach feeling to it. You're going to go through things, and then you're going to feel excited about those things. The things that you feel the most excited about, you're going to put them in that picture that you now want to construct, okay, that new relationship. And then you focus on that. You visualize in order to feel good, because when you do that well, when you do that efficiently enough, you'll feel so excited in your visualizations and in your imagination and your constructing of the scene that you now want, that you won't have time to think about all the past bullshit that occurred, okay? That's what you do. You distract your mind from that stuff by constructing what you want now and feeling so good about it, going into your scenes and going into your visualization to such a degree that it feels like it's real. That's what we mean when we say feel it real. That's what Neville Goddard meant when he said feel it real. It has to feel real in your imagination, okay? So that you don't have time, your brain doesn't have time to jump back there to all that. That's now unconstructive stuff, unproductive stuff, okay? I hope that makes sense. Another thing I want to say about this, because you're saying, how can I have faith? How can I have faith? And how can I have faith and belief? So I want to say another thing about this. And I know this is going to probably run counter to what a lot of other coaches have told you. But that's okay. We don't always agree with each other. I don't always agree with everybody out there. They're not always going to agree with me, and that's okay. But from my perspective, I'm going to tell you right now, faith is not that important. Faith and belief and trust in the process are not as important as people say or think that it is. In fact, I think it can help, but I think what happens with faith and trust is that just if you just do what I explain, when you focus on your vision and what you want, and you gain clarity, and you focus on feeling good about your vision and feeling that excitement about it and that anticipation about it, and sort of like when you know Christmas is coming when you're a kid or whatever it is, and you're going to open that present, and you know your parents got you that bike or that computer or whatever it is that you wanted, you know it's coming and you just can't wait, right? That's the kind of excitement and emotion that I'm talking about. All right, when you have that kind of stuff, you focus on that stuff, and as you go through the process of living and manifesting, now that you know this stuff, if you didn't know it before, now that you know this stuff, you're going to start noticing how you're manifesting not just relationships, not just money, you're manifesting everything in your life. You're manifesting your emotions, you're manifesting your thoughts, this thought, the next thought, the next thought, the next thought. Those are all manifestations, okay? You're manifesting that parking spot. You manifested that job. You're manifesting constantly, all right? You manifested the weather, believe it or not. Today. I mean, you'd be surprised at how quickly your reality can change, how quickly it can all be different. You can wake up one day, a week later, a month later, and you have a completely different life. You're in a completely different place. You have completely different people around you, okay? I've done it many, many times. I've experienced it many, many times. I know how it happens now. All right, so that doesn't, before, it still boggles my mind and it still surprises me. But before, it was kind of disconcerting. And before, I was always like, come on, that's just chance, or that was just circumstance, or that was going to happen anyway, or something like that. But the more you go through it, the more you witness it, the more you see it, all the different manifestations, even throughout your day, as you witness it, over time, you're going to start to come to believe that that's what's been happening the whole time, and your whole life is that you've been the one who's been manifesting, who's been shifting through all these different parallel realities, all these different opportunities, all these different possible outcomes, okay? You've been doing it all along. So the more you live, the more you go through this process, the faith part and the trust part will just come naturally. It'll be a byproduct of you simply living, okay? So I don't want you to worry so much about needing to trust or having faith right now and all that jazz, because that's going to take care of itself, all right? All you need to worry about is what you want, the clarity of your focus, and then feeling it real as much as you can throughout your day, and milk those feelings. And don't be afraid of negative emotions or going back down the ladder a couple of rungs. It's fine. You'll get the hang of it. With practice, you will get the hang of it. Okay? This stuff is really not so complicated. And the thing is, with all these steps and all these things, we tend to make it very complicated because we want our monkey mind, still it wants to figure it all out for us, okay? But it's not an intellectual process. This is a feeling process. And that's what I always tell people. That's why it can be challenging to explain this too in language kind of terms, because I'm trying to explain what's not an intellectual process in intellectual terms. So that can be challenging as well for me. But, you know, well, I hope I'm doing a good job anyway. But the point I'm trying to make is that the faith part and all that, the trust in the process, that's going to come about naturally. The more you just keep doing this, keep studying, keep trying things out, keep observing, okay? And if you don't believe me, keep a manifestation journal, all right? Every day, write down what you've manifested that day, even if it's a tiny little thing. And I want you to think about that too. Every little thing is a manifestation. Finding a penny on the street is a manifestation. You just manifested money. A penny is money. Maybe it's not $1 million, but it's money, and you manifested it. Write that down in your journal, okay? Someone buys you a cup of coffee, write it down. Write down anytime you think of somebody you haven't heard from in a while and they text you or call you suddenly, or they like something you posted on Facebook, and you go, holy shit, I just thought about them. That's a manifestation, don't you understand? And if you can do that with them, you can do that with your ex and your specific person. All you got to do, if you want to build that faith, then keep that journal and write down all the little things. And in time, you're going to see they're going to add up to something major and you're going to go, holy cow, look at everything I've manifested so far. So it will come about naturally as a natural byproduct of the process of you living your life, okay, and going through your life. And you have the advantage over yourself right now. Your current self has the advantage over your former self who didn't understand all this stuff. Okay, go back a few years to before you discovered law of attraction and manifesting in Tarkan's channel and anybody's channel or anybody's book, is that you go back and talk to your former self. What do you think you have to tell them and teach them now? Probably a lot more than you think, okay? You're already a much more experienced, masterful person than you were just a short time ago, probably, all right? So I hope that answers your question. You know, it was one of those I like questions like this. You kind of challenged me a little bit, and I appreciate that. As soon as I stop recording, I'm going to go, you know, have a cup of coffee or something, and I'm going to think, damn it, I should have said this and this and this and that too. Because questions like this, you know, there's a lot of different angles, a lot of different ways to look at it. And I'll probably have more to say about it in future videos. But thank you for the question. I really liked it. And also, guys, there are viewer comments coming and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I'm kind of on vacation. I would call it a working vacation. Okay, so I'm still doing coaching for the time being. Starting Friday, I'm going to be on the road for about 3-4 days because I'm driving to Turkey from here, which will take about 3-4 days, something like that, to get there. I'm not going to have much access to internet and all that, but I'm going to have a couple more videos out before that happens. Also, tomorrow morning, for those of you who are fans of 𝗙់_𝗿 𝗂𝗲𝗄, I'm going to be having a chat with her tomorrow at 10 a.m. London time. So I'll let you look up wherever you are in the world. If you want to see that, I believe it's going to be live. Now, I've watched a lot of interviews that 𝗙់has done. I think they're live. She records them live, but I'm not sure. But either way, don't sweat it, because it's obviously going to stay up on her channel, and there's also going to be a copy of the video on this channel. Okay? So, and for those of you who don't know 𝗙់_𝗿 𝗂𝗲𝗄𝗏, I don't know why you wouldn't. She's been doing this a lot longer than I have. Go check her channel out. But I'm sure all of you here know exactly who I'm talking about. So I'm really excited about that, looking forward to it. And yeah, there's not much more to say. Thank you, all the subscribers. Thank you, all the likes and everything, and all the comments. If you want some coaching with me, you know where to go. Go in the description box below. There's all the information if you want to leave me a tip. There's some cool stuff on the website. I'm going to add more cool stuff on the website, probably when I'm back stateside in a couple months. I'm going to be working a lot on the website, but that's you know, on the bottom of my list of things to do. So the most important thing is to keep doing cool videos for you guys, and I've been enjoying them, and I'm really happy that you guys have been enjoying them too. So thank you for all your feedback. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you for your wonderful, encouraging, positive, complimentary comments. They really, really jazz me up and make me want to keep going. So thank you for that, guys, okay? And until next time, the next video, you'll probably see me tomorrow chatting with 𝗙់. But aside from that, I will see you all very soon. All right? Take care.